Did you know that 40% of people feel unhappy and dissatisfied with some parts of their life? And this is amplified for those of us that sit between 45 and 59. It's the classic midlife crisis that we used to always hear about. And it's really hard to move away from that if we don't understand all of the clues that make up this case. So today we're going to investigate this, look at the three main suspects that cause this. We're going to look at a little bit of a twist in this case, and then we're going to solve it and work out how we can move forward. Dissatisfaction, it creeps up quietly on us over many years. It could be our job, it could be our relationships, or it could just be this nagging feeling that you get that something is missing from your life. But why? It's like all of the pieces of the puzzle that you've had up until now are suddenly not coming together the way you need them to come together. So the three key suspects that we really need to analyse today are our jobs and careers, our relationships, and our own personal growth. So let's head off and solve this case. The problem is very multifaceted because we had an expectation when we were younger that life was going to play out in a fairly standard sort of way. We were going to leave school, get a job, find a partner, maybe have kids, buy a house. By the time we get to our nearly 50s, we think, oh, well, we're going to have this sort of, when we look back, this expected life that we were going to have. And when we do start to look back and realize that that's not quite the life that we had, we start to think, well, what went wrong and what didn't I do and what didn't I achieve? And is it possible for me to turn around and start to fix those things from this point of view? Or am I just riding it through to retirement now thinking, well, this is my lot in life? And we tend to start to take on the role here of our main suspect of being the person who is going to sabotage any attempts that we now try and take to make life what we actually expected it to be. And that's because our expectations of life are not just about the missed opportunities from our past. It actually starts to surface in many different ways. In our job, this can either be that we feel really, really undervalued with what we do when we start to feel invisible in our career, or it could mean that we actually did a job that we didn't have passion for and we just feel like it's not really what we wanted to be doing, so we've lost engagement with our workplace. It then again comes up in our relationships when, as we get older, we start to disconnect from people. It might be our partner or it might be our friends, and we start to feel more isolated and alone about what we're doing. And that then feeds into the personal growth that we're going through because we start to feel like we can't change, or change comes with risk because we've got bills to pay and commitments that we haven't quite done. So we feel like all of these three things are starting to intermingle and not be able to make us make any sort of progress forward because of one or the other. And we tend to hear that this is because we don't really know what we want. But I think as people starting to approach 50, we do know what we want, and you probably know what you want. You're just have conditioned yourself not to allow yourself to do what you want, or you've been saying, no, I can't really do that. So I don't think it's a case of lack of clarity of where you want to go. It's just the risk adverseness of us to make changes and the consciousness that when we become closer to 50, if we suddenly quit our jobs to try something new, are we going to be employable again? So we've got fear of making changes on top of the huge risks that might come in there. And all of this stuff I can relate to because for 12 years, this is where I've been living. I had a career that was a string of jobs that I didn't really want to do, and I felt really disconnected from them and invisible. I feel like as I've got older, my relationships have sort of drifted away, people have moved away, people have moved on to other things and not really sure how to grasp them back. And that's made me think that making change is going to have a detrimental effect to my life rather than a positive effect to my life, because I don't want to rock the boat now in case it affects the future. So the twist in our case is that all of this stuff is not actually the cause of you feeling dissatisfied or unhappy. These are just the symptoms of that. The reason that you feel unhappy is because you've got things that you know you either want to do or need to do, and you're not able to make steps towards that. So you're feeling stuck, left behind in the past, or stuck with all your needs unmet. And the way to move forward is to get the right why. We hear a lot about why do you do this, get the whys right. But for us at nearly 50, it's got to be the right why for us. So how do we turn all of this around? We first have to go on an inward journey about understanding how to make change in our life and then how to then implement that change in your life. And part of that is the process of looking back and taking all of the lessons you've learned and taking all of the things that you want to do forward and doing what I call divorcing yourself. So leaving all the other stuff, the blockers in the past, and then turning around and starting to make strategic plans about how you're going to move forward. And the warning here is we can get so stuck in trying to become self-aware that we neglect to take action. Taking action in this space is about getting out what is going on. You could do that through journaling, you could do that through meditation, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of these things about mindset. Once you start to write down with journaling and ask yourself the right questions, you are putting them down and committing to taking action against them. Feeling dissatisfied and unhappy might feel like the end of the road, but it's actually the beginning of the new path towards your new future. And if you want to learn more about this, my next video is about how we slow down so that we can speed up moving forward.